The night sky above the ruined battlefield was dark and silent. Stars burned far away, cold and distant, watching without care. Among the broken pieces of a destroyed alien ship, one figure lay still. It was a woman, an alien woman, her silver skin glowing faintly in the starlight. Her body was weak, her breath shallow. She had no strength left to move. She had been left behind. Her people were gone. Some were dead. Some had escaped, leaving her behind because she was too weak to fight, too broken to follow. They thought she would die soon anyway. For them, it was easier to abandon her than to carry her. The alien woman's eyes were heavy. Pain spread through her chest with every breath. She had tried to survive, tried to crawl through the metal wreckage, tried to find food, but now she was done. She felt her life slipping away like sand falling through her fingers. Her mind whispered, "This is the end." Slowly, she closed her eyes. She thought about her homeworld, about the blue seas and tall crystal towers she would never see again. She thought about her family, all gone now. A bitter sadness filled her heart. There was no one left to care for her. She was truly alone. The cold air touched her skin. Her body grew heavier, colder. She let herself drift into the dark. She welcomed it. Death felt like release, but then a sound. At first, it was soft, far away. A crunch of boots on broken ground, then closer. Slow, steady steps. The alien woman wanted to ignore it, she thought. It was only her fading mind, creating illusions before the end. But the sound grew louder, real, clear, and then another sound. A voice, "Hey, hey, can you hear me?" Her eyes shot open. Above her, against the faint light of the stars, she saw a figure. Not one of her people. Not the hunters who had destroyed her ship. No. This was something different. It was a human, a man with dark hair and tired eyes, dressed in worn survival gear. His face was dirty, scarred, but his eyes were steady, burning with determination. And most strange of all, he was kneeling beside her. The alien woman blinked, confused. Why? Why was a human here? Why was he looking at her with such intensity? The man leaned closer. "Don't close your eyes. Stay awake. You're not going to die here." His voice was low, but strong. He spoke in her language, clear and perfect. That was impossible. No human should know her tongue, and yet he did. Her lips moved weakly. Her voice was only a whisper. "Why? Why do you speak?" The man gave a small, grim smile. "Alone. Story, right now, you need help." She wanted to laugh, but no sound came. A human helping her. Why? Humans were supposed to be dangerous, untrustworthy. Her people had always warned her. And yet here he was, holding a small container of water to her lips, his hand steady, patient. She resisted at first. Suspicion burned inside her. What if this was a trick? What if he wanted her alive, only to deliver her to the hunters later? But her body betrayed her. Thirst, sharp and painful, forced her to drink. The water touched her dry lips, slid down her throat, and she coughed weakly. The man didn't let go. He supported her head with surprising care. His hands were rough, calloused, but gentle. That's it. Small sips. "You'll be fine," he said. She wanted to speak again, but her strength failed. She closed her eyes, not from death this time, but from exhaustion. The man's voice reached her ears again, firm and commanding. "Stay awake. I found your distress signal. I came for you. You're safe now. Safe." The word felt like a cruel joke. She was not safe. She had lost everything. She was dying in the dirt, abandoned by her own kind. But when she opened her eyes again, he was still there. He had not left. His arm was around her shoulders now, lifting her gently. His presence was solid, real. Her heart twisted. Why would a stranger care? Why would a human, of all people, stay with her when her own people had left her behind? The human met her eyes. His expression was hard, but there was no cruelty in it. Only determination. "You're not alone," he said quietly. "Not anymore." The words echoed in her mind. For a moment, just a moment, the crushing loneliness eased. She did not believe him, not yet, but she could not look away from his eyes. Somewhere deep inside her, a tiny spark of hope flickered. A fragile spark, almost too small to notice. But it was there. The alien woman, abandoned and broken, had closed her eyes to die, and when she opened them again, saw a human holding her, saving her, and for the first time since her world fell apart, she felt the faintest possibility that maybe her story was not over yet. The alien woman could not stop staring. Her body was weak, but her eyes followed the human man. He moved quickly but carefully, searching the wreckage around them. His hands checked the broken walls, his ears alert to every sound. He was a man who had survived danger before. She wondered again, why was he here? Why risk his life for her? The human turned back to her. He crouched low, his eyes sharp, scanning the shadows. Then he spoke softly, but his voice carried strength. "My name is Daniel. You don't have to be afraid. I'm not your enemy." The alien woman wanted to believe him, but her heart was heavy with doubt. Her own people had abandoned her. Why would a stranger, a human, be any different? She tried to speak, but her throat burned. Only broken words came out. "You should leave. No one saves me." Daniel shook his head firmly. "I didn't come all this way to leave you behind. I don't abandon people, not anymore." His words puzzled her. Not anymore. What did he mean? She wanted to ask, but she had no strength left. Daniel knelt beside her, opening a small pack he carried. From inside, he pulled out strange tools, human medicine, bandages, and some kind of glowing device. The alien woman felt her chest tighten. Was this kindness or a trick? She could not decide. Still, Daniel worked carefully. He cleaned the wounds on her arms, wrapped them, and checked her breathing. His hands were rough, yet precise, like someone who had done this many times before. The alien woman closed her eyes for a moment, expecting pain. But instead, she felt something warm spread through her veins. His medicine was working. Her strength, though still faint, began to return. When she opened her eyes again, Daniel was sitting near her, his back against a broken piece of metal. His weapon, a human rifle, rested in his lap. Ready? He looked tired, but his gaze never left the darkness around them. Silence hung between them, broken only by the wind. Finally, she whispered, "Why? Help me." Daniel's jaw tightened. He did not answer right away. His eyes were far away, lost in memory. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy. "Because once I watched my crew die. I watched them beg for help, and no one came. I swore I would never let that happen again. Not if I could stop it." His words struck her heart. He too had known the taste of abandonment. He too carried scars from betrayal and loss. The alien woman studied his face. There was no lie in his eyes, no trick in his voice. He was serious. Her lips trembled. She wanted to thank him, but the words refused to come. Instead, she looked away, ashamed of her weakness. Daniel noticed, but did not push her. He only said, "Rest. You'll need your strength. This place isn't safe." She frowned weakly. "Hunters." Daniel nodded once. "They'll be back. They always return to finish what they started." Fear stabbed her chest. The hunter she remembered their faces, their weapons, their cruelty. They had destroyed her people without mercy. If they found her again, there would be no escape. Daniel's voice broke her fear. But they won't take you. Not while I'm here. Something stirred inside her chest, confusion, fear, and something she could not name. Hope. Could she really? Trust him. The silence grew again. The stars above were cold and distant. She thought he might leave her then, but Daniel surprised her once more. He took out a small piece of human food, something dry and simple, and broke it in half. Without hesitation, he offered one piece to her. Her eyes widened. He was willing to share his food, his survival with her. A stranger, an alien. Her hand trembled as she reached for it. She tasted it slowly. It was plain, rough, but to her it felt like the richest meal she had ever eaten. She had not eaten. In daze, Daniel watched her quietly, then looked back into the shadows. His rifle remained steady in his hand. The alien woman studied him again. His face was hardened by pain, his body marked with scars, but his eyes carried something she had not seen in a long time. A refusal to give up, a fire that no enemy could crush. She wanted to ask how he learned her language. She wanted to ask why he still cared when so many others had stopped caring long ago. But before she could speak, a new sound echoed in the distance. A metallic scrape. A guttural growl. Daniel tensed instantly. His body moved like a soldier's, ready for battle. He raised a hand, signaling her to stay quiet. The alien woman's breath caught in her throat. She knew that sound. The hunter's Daniel's eyes narrowed. His grip tightened on his weapon. He leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Stay down. Don't move. If they come here, I'll deal with them." Her heart pounded. She wanted to protest, wanted to tell him it was hopeless. The hunters were too strong. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw no fear. It's only unshakable resolve. 4. The first time since her world fell apart. She dared to wonder, maybe this human really could protect her. Maybe she was not as alone as she thought. The alien woman pressed her back against the cold wreckage, her breath sharp and shallow. Every sound outside felt louder, now the shifting rocks, the whisper of the wind, the echo of boots on the broken ground. The hunters were close. Daniel, the human, crouched low near the entrance of the shattered ship. His rifle rested against his shoulder, his eyes sharp and unblinking. He did not tremble. He did not move carelessly. He was a man ready for war. The alien woman wanted to believe in his strength, but doubt still clawed at her heart. Could one human protect her against the hunters who had destroyed her people? Could she trust him when even her own kind had abandoned? Her voice came out weak, but filled with fear. "You don't understand. They won't stop. They will kill you. They will kill us both." Daniel did not look back. His voice was calm, low, but firm. "Then we fight. I'm not leaving you." The words struck her. Not leaving. No one had ever said that to her before. Not after the fall of her ship. Not after her people turned away. The thought made her chest ache, as if something locked inside her heart was trying to break free. But still, fear was stronger. "You don't know them," she whispered. "They are hunters. They enjoy pain. They never miss their prey. You should save yourself." Daniel finally turned his head. His eyes locked on hers. They were hard, sharp, but there was something else behind them, a flame that refused to die. "I told you already, I don't abandon people. Not again. If they want to get to you, they'll have to go through me first." The alien woman's lips parted, but no words came. She could not understand him. What kind of human spoke like that? What kind of stranger risked his life for someone he had just met? Her own kind had left her. This human stayed. The silence stretched. Between them, outside, the footsteps grew closer. The hunters were searching, their voices low and guttural, their weapons humming with deadly energy. Daniel leaned closer, his whisper sharp. "Listen to me. If they come in here, you stay low. Do not move. Do not cry out. I'll handle them." Her throat tightened. "You'll die," maybe Daniel said, "but not today." The confidence in his voice sent shivers down her spine. Then, the sound came, metal dragging across stone. The hunters were only steps away. Daniel raised his weapon. His body was still, his breathing slow. The alien woman held her breath. Her hands trembled as memories flooded back, the screams of her people, the burning of her ship, the cruel laughter of the hunters. She wanted to curl into the shadows, to disappear, to surrender. But Daniel's presence kept her frozen in a different way. He did not shake. He did not hide. He was ready to face them. Seconds stretched into hours. The hunters passed the wreckage, their shadows sliding across the walls. For a moment, one stopped, sniffing the air like a predator. The alien woman's heart pounded so loud she was sure they would hear. She pressed her hand against her mouth, forcing herself to stay silent. Daniel's finger tightened on the trigger. His eyes never blinked, but then after what felt like forever, the hunters moved on. Their footsteps faded into the distance. The night grew quiet again. The alien woman exhaled sharply, almost collapsing with relief. Her body shook. She wanted to weep, but no tears came. Daniel lowered his weapon slowly. He let out a quiet breath, then looked at her. "See? Still alive." Words were simple, almost casual, but they carried weight. He had been ready to die for her. The alien woman stared at him, torn between gratitude and fear. Gratitude because he had protected her. Fear because she did not know why. What if this was all an illusion? What if he was only keeping her alive for some hidden purpose? Her people had always told her humans could not be trusted. Yet this one had done more for her in one night than her people had in years. Her voice trembled. "Why? Why risk yourself for me?" Daniel sat back against the wreckage, his face half hidden in the dark. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, his voice low, he answered, "Because I know what it feels like to be left behind. I won't let it happen to you." The alien woman's breath caught. His words cut through her fear, striking something deep inside her. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust. But her wounds, her betrayal ran too deep. Silence returned, but this silence was different. Okay. It was heavy, full of unspoken questions, unspoken fears. The alien woman curled against the wall, her body weak, but her eyes still fixed on him. She wanted to sleep, but she could not. Not with the hunters still near. Not with this strange human watching the night like a guardian. She felt torn. A part of her wanted to push him away, to keep her heart closed and safe. But another part, small and fragile, whispered something new, something dangerous. Maybe I can trust him. The thought frightened her more than the hunters. Daniel adjusted his weapon, never looking away from the darkness. His figure was steady, strong, like a shield between her and the world. And though the alien woman could not admit it aloud, one truth slowly formed in her mind. For the first time since her world was destroyed, she did not feel completely alone. The night was quiet again, but it was not the silence of safety. It was the silence of hunters waiting in the dark. The alien woman leaned weakly against the cold wall of the wreckage. Her body trembled, not from the cold, but from fear. Every beat of her heart reminded her of the massacre she had seen. Her people destroyed, her family gone. The hunters had shown no mercy then, and they would show none now. Daniel, The human remained at the entrance, crouched low with his rifle steady in his hands. His eyes scanned the shadows as if he could see through the darkness itself. He did not relax, not even for a moment. The alien woman whispered, her voice broken. They will come back. They never stop until the prey is dead. Daniel glanced at her, his jaw tight. Then we'll make sure we're not prey. She shook her head weakly. You don't understand. They are many. You are one. We will not survive. But Daniel's expression did not change. His voice was firm, sharp like steel. I've faced worse odds. Numbers don't scare me. Cowards hunt in packs. Survivors fight alone. The alien woman stared at him. She wanted to call him a fool. She wanted to tell him he was insane. But there was something in his tone, something unbreakable, that stopped. Her words then footsteps, heavy, measured, close. The alien woman's breath caught. She recognized that sound instantly. The hunters were back. Daniel raised his hand, signaling her to stay low. His movements were silent, precise. He slid against the wall, rifle raised, his breathing steady. Voices echoed outside. Harsh, guttural, full of cruel laughter. They spoke in their own tongue, but the alien woman did not need translation. She knew their meaning. They were searching. They were enjoying it. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He whispered without looking at her. How many? She closed her eyes, listening. Her hearing was sharper than his, even in her weakened state. 3, no. 4. Daniel's grip tightened on his weapon. Good. Less than I thought. The alien woman's stomach twisted. Less. To her, for hunters, meant death. But to him, it sounded almost manageable. The first hunter appeared in the broken doorway, his weapon glowing faintly. His eyes glimmered red in the dark. He sniffed the air like an animal, his lips curling into a cruel grin. The alien woman froze, terror flooding her veins. But Daniel moved first. A sharp flash of light, a crack of sound, his rifle fired. The hunter collapsed before he even understood what had happened. The alien woman gasped. 1 shot, 1 kill. The other hunters roared in fury, rushing toward the wreckage. Daniel pulled her down behind a wall as energy blasts tore through the metal, sending sparks and fire into the air. The alien woman covered her ears, her body shaking. But Daniel was calm, almost cold. He leaned out, fired again, and another hunter fell with a scream. Stay down, Daniel ordered. His voice was not angry, was steady, protective. The alien woman wanted to argue, but fear locked her throat. All she could do was obey. The last 2 hunters stormed in, their weapons glowing bright. Daniel met them head-on. He fired, moved, fired again, every shot sharp and precise. 1 hunter fell. The last one snarled, charging forward, swinging a blade, crackling with energy. Daniel blocked the strike with his rifle, sparks flying. The alien woman cried out, her heart leaping into her throat. The human twisted, fought with brutal speed. Every move born of survival. The hunter slashed again, missing by inches. Daniel struck back, slamming the butt of his weapon into the alien's face. The hunter stumbled, dazed. In that moment, Daniel fired point blank. The last hunter dropped, lifeless. Silence. The wreckage was filled with smoke, the smell of burned metal, and the echo of battle. Daniel stood in the middle, breathing hard but steady, his rifle lowered slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. The alien woman stared at him in shock. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. She had seen warriors fight before. She had seen her people resist the hunters. But never had she seen anyone fight with such control, such determination. Daniel turned to her, his voice even. Told you. We're not prey. Her lips trembled. How? How can you fight them alone? He shrugged slightly. Because I have to. The alien woman's heart twisted. She felt something strange inside, fear and admiration, doubt and trust, all mixed together. He was human, a stranger. Yet he had stood between her and death without hesitation. Still, fear whispered in her mind. What if more come? What if he cannot win again? As if reading her thoughts, Daniel spoke. They'll be back, but now they know I'm here. They'll think twice. She swallowed hard. No, they will not stop. Daniel's eyes met hers. They were steady, unshaken. Then neither will I. For the first time, the alien woman felt her fear weaken, just a little. His presence was like a shield, rough, but unbreakable, and though she could not admit it, part of her believed him. The hunters would return. The danger was not over, but maybe, just maybe, this human really could stand against them. The fire from the hunters' weapons still glowed faintly. In the wreckage, smoke drifted upward like ghosts, carrying the smell of ash and death. Daniel sat with his back against a broken wall, his rifle resting across his knees. His breathing was heavy but steady. The fight had drained him, yet his eyes were sharp. Watching the shadows, the alien woman sat a short distance away, her body weak, but her mind restless. She could not look away from him. The image of him standing against the hunters, fearless and unbroken, burned in her memory. For the first time, she wondered if this human was more than just a stranger. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the crackle of small sparks. Finally, she whispered, her voice trembling, "Why do you fight like that? You are only one. But you fight like an army." Daniel did not answer at once. He closed his eyes for a moment, as if he were far away, in thought. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, heavy with memory. "Because I know what it feels like to lose everything, to be left behind." The alien woman's chest tightened. His words struck too close to her own pain. She lowered her eyes, whispering softly, "Your people, they left you." Daniel opened his eyes again. He stared into the fire, not at her. His voice carried both anger and sorrow. "I was a soldier once, part of a crew. We were sent to explore a world on the edge of space. But things went wrong. The enemy came. We fought, but we were outnumbered. One by one, my crew fell. When the ship burned, I thought someone would come back for me. I waited. I sent signals. I screamed into the dark." His voice broke slightly, but he forced himself to continue. "No one came. They left me to die, just like you were left." The alien woman's breath caught. Her eyes widened. She felt the echo of her own story in his words. Betrayal, abandonment, the cruel silence of being forgotten. She whispered, "Then, you are like me." Daniel finally looked at her. His eyes were not soft, but they were honest. "Yes, I know your pain. That's why I won't leave you. I refuse to let anyone suffer what I did." The alien woman's lips trembled. She wanted to thank him, but the words stuck in her throat. Instead, something else spilled out, words she had buried deep inside. "My people. They abandoned me. Too. They said I was weak, worthless. They saved the strong, the useful, and they left me to die among the wreckage." Her voice cracked, and for the first time since the destruction of her world, tears rolled down her face. Daniel watched her silently. He did not offer false comfort. He did not tell her it would be fine. Instead, he listened, truly listened. She wiped her face with a trembling hand. Her voice grew bitter. "I wanted to believe they cared. I wanted to believe I was part of them, but in the end, I was nothing." Daniel's jaw tightened. He leaned forward slightly. His voice was sharp, almost angry, but not at her. "You are not nothing. Don't ever say that." The alien woman blinked, startled. But no, Daniel cut her off. "The weak don't survive this long. You're still here. That means you're stronger than the ones who left you. They abandoned you because they were cowards, not because you were worthless." His words hit her harder than any blade. She stared at him, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She had lived with the belief that she was weak, broken, unwanted. Yet this human, this stranger, spoke as if she were something more. Her lips moved, barely able to form the question. "Do you really believe that?" Daniel's gaze did not waver. "I don't believe. I know." The silence that followed was different from before. It was heavy with meaning, with a bond slowly forming between two broken survivors. The alien woman lowered her head, hiding her face. She did not want him to see the hope slowly growing inside her. Hope was dangerous. Hope could break her again, but she could not stop it. His words had planted something deep within her heart, something she thought was gone forever. A small, fragile flame. She whispered softly, almost too quiet to hear, "Thank you." Daniel leaned back again, adjusting his weapon. He said nothing more, but his eyes softened just slightly. The alien woman closed her eyes, breathing slowly. For the first time in so long, the weight on her chest felt lighter. She was still afraid, still scarred, but she was not alone. Not anymore. The night stretched on. Outside, the world was still dangerous. More hunters would come. Death still hunted them both, but inside the wreckage, for this one brief moment. Two survivors sat together, bound not by race or blood, but by pain, loss, and a fragile spark of trust. And though the alien woman did not yet know what the future held, she felt something she had thought impossible. She felt like, maybe, just maybe, her story was not over. The night did not stay silent for long. Far in the distance, the alien woman heard the sharp, cruel cry of hunters calling to each other. Their voices carried across the ruins, echoing through the broken stones. They were gathering again. More of them this time, many more. Her chest tightened. She had warned Daniel. The hunters never gave up. They would return until nothing was left alive. Daniel rose to his feet, checking his weapon. His face was calm, but his body was ready, every muscle tense like a coiled spring. His eyes glowed faintly in the firelight, steady and unshaken. "They're coming," the alien woman whispered, her voice trembling. "I know," Daniel replied. His voice was low, steady, like iron. "This time, they won't take us by surprise." Her heart raced. "You can't fight them all, not alone." Daniel looked at her, his expression sharp but kind. "I told you before, I don't run, not anymore." The alien woman wanted to scream at him, to beg him to escape while he still could. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw no fear. Hesitation. Only a will stronger than steel. The ground shook faintly. Heavy footsteps, dozens of them. The hunters were closing in. Daniel moved quickly. He dragged broken metal sheets into position, creating a barrier. He placed explosives in the narrow paths, setting traps with precise, practiced hands. Every movement was fast, efficient, like a soldier who had prepared for war his whole life. The alien woman watched him in silence, torn between fear and awe. He was one man, yet he moved as if he carried the strength of an army. When he finished, he crouched beside her, his voice softened for the first time. "When the fight begins, stay low. If I fall, you run." Her eyes widened. "No, you can't." Daniel cut her off with a shake of his head. "Promise me. Survive. That's what matters." Her throat closed. She wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, something inside her shifted. For so long, she had been weak, afraid, waiting for death. But now, watching him prepare to stand against impossible odds, she felt a spark inside her. "A spark of courage," she whispered. "If you fight, then I fight too." Daniel stared at her. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then he gave the smallest of smiles, sharp and tired. "Good. Then let's show them what it means to survive." The footsteps grew louder. The hunters appeared at the edge of the ruins, dozens of them, their weapons glowing, their eyes filled with hunger. They saw the human and the alien woman and laughed. Cruel, mocking laughter that echoed like thunder. Daniel rose to his full height. His rifle rested steady in his hands. His voice carried across the ruins like a challenge. "Come and try." The hunters charged. The first explosion ripped through the night, fire and smoke swallowing the front line. Bodies fell. Screams filled the air. Daniel fired through the chaos, every shot sharp and deadly. The alien woman crouched low, fear pounding in her chest. But when she saw him fighting, when she saw him standing against so many without fear, something broke inside her. She grabbed a fallen hunter's blade, her hands shaking, and rose to her feet. Her people had abandoned her. They had called her weak, but not tonight, not now. A hunter leaped toward her, teeth bared. She swung the blade with all her strength. The weapon cut through the air, striking true. The hunter fell. Her breath came fast, her body trembling. But, for the first time, she felt power in her hands. She was not just surviving. She was fighting. Daniel saw her and shouted, "That's it. Don't stop." The battle raged. Hunters poured in from every side, their weapons cutting through the ruins. But Daniel moved like a storm, his rifle firing without pause, his body unbroken. He fought with fury, with precision, with the strength of a man who had nothing left to lose. The alien woman fought beside him, blade flashing in the firelight. Every strike was clumsy, every move desperate, but she refused to stop. For the first time since the fall of her people, she was not running. She was standing. The ruins shook with the sound of war. Explosions, screams, the clash of metal and fire. And through it all, Daniel and the alien woman stood side by side. Two survivors against an army. Minutes felt like hours. Blood stained the ground. Bodies lay scattered across the ruins. At last, the final hunter fell with a roar, his weapon slipping from his hands as he collapsed into the dust. Silence returned. Daniel stood in the center of the wreckage, breathing hard, his clothes torn, his body marked with blood and ash. His rifle hung heavy in his hands. The alien woman dropped to her knees, her blade slipping from her grasp. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her body shaking with exhaustion. But she was alive. Daniel looked around, scanning the shadows one last time. When he was sure no more hunters remained, he lowered his weapon. His voice was rough but steady. "We did it." The alien woman lifted her head, her eyes wide. Her voice cracked with disbelief. We survived." Daniel gave a small, tired smile. "Of course we did, because we didn't give up." She stared at him, her heart racing. She had never felt this before. Not hope, not strength, not this. Burning fire inside her chest, for the first time. She believed him. They were survivors. Together, and no enemy, not even the hunters could take that away. The battlefield was silent at last. Smoke drifted slowly across the ruins, curling in two. The cold night air. The bodies of the hunters lay scattered among broken stone and twisted metal. The ground was scarred with fire, and the air still carried the sharp scent of ash and blood. The alien woman sat on the cracked earth, her body trembling with exhaustion. Her hands were stained red, her chest rising and falling as if every breath were a battle of its own. She looked at the weapon she had dropped, the blade she had used to fight. It felt strange to think it was hers now, that she had stood and fought instead of waiting for death. Her eyes lifted slowly. Daniel stood a few steps away, his rifle hanging loosely in his hands. His face was bruised, his clothes torn, but his eyes were steady. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, but he stood tall, unbroken. The alien woman stared at him, filling her heart. This human had done the impossible. Kea, alone, he had stood against an army. With him, she had found the strength to fight. At last, she whispered, her voice hoarse, "Why? Why save me?" Daniel turned his head slightly, his eyes meeting hers. His voice was quiet, but every word carried weight. Because no one deserves to be abandoned. The alien woman's lips trembled. She wanted to speak, to tell him how deeply those words cut into her heart. For so long she had believed she was worthless, that her life had no meaning. Her people had left her. The hunters had tried to erase her. But here stood a man who had risked everything, not because she was strong or useful, but simply because he refused to let her die alone. Tears welled in her eyes, hot against her cold skin. She lowered her head, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought my story was over." Daniel stepped closer, his boots crunching against broken stone. He extended his hand toward her, firm but gentle. "Then write a new one," he said. She hesitated. Her hand shook as she lifted it. But when his fingers wrapped around hers, strong and steady, something inside her broke and healed at the same time. For the first time since her world had fallen apart, she felt safe. Not because the danger was gone, the hunters would surely return one day, and more enemies would rise. But because she was no longer alone, she whispered, "What happens now?" Daniel looked at the horizon, where the faintest line of light touched the dark sky. Dawn was coming. His voice was calm, certain. "Now we survive." Together, the alien woman followed his gaze. The ruins stretched far, empty and broken. Beyond them lay the unknown, dangerous worlds, hostile enemies, endless battles. But, for the first time, the future did not feel like a curse. It felt like possibility. Slowly, she rose to her feet. Her legs shook, but Daniel's hand held her steady. She leaned against him, and he did not push her away. They began to walk, step by step, leaving the battlefield behind. Everywhere around them lay reminders of death and loss. But with each step, the weight of despair grew lighter. The alien woman spoke softly, her voice uncertain but hopeful. "I was weak before, afraid. But tonight, I fought. Because of you." Daniel shook his head. "Not because of me, because you chose to. That strength was always inside you. You just needed to see it." Her chest tightened. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever seen worth in her. She lowered her eyes, whispering, "Then I will never run again." Daniel gave a small nod. "Good, because the galaxy won't give us peace. But if we stand together, we'll face it all." The alien woman looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the faint light of dawn. For the first time, she smiled. It was small, fragile, but real. The two survivors walked on, side by side, their shadows stretching long behind them. The hunters would return. Other enemies would rise. The galaxy was still cruel, still unforgiving. But they had found something the hunters could never destroy. Trust, hope, a bond forged in fire. And though their journey was only beginning, one truth was clear. The alien woman had closed her eyes to die, but she had opened them to see a human, holding her hand. And together they would write a new story. A story of survival, A story of defiance. A story of hope.